Welcome once again to Lehto's Law. Here's Steve Lehto.
There's been a debate over the years about whether Florida man is in the news more than any people from other states. And I've had people say, Steve, that's only because Florida has got more access for the public to things like mugshots. So a lot of times mugshots of Florida man will show up on the news because the mugshots aren't so readily available in other states. That's possible. But Florida also is one of our more populous states, so obviously there'll be a lot of people down there. The weather is nicer down there in terms of temperature, so if you're going to live on the street, streets are warmer in Florida than they are in Maine. So, who knows? Who knows what causes these stories to come out of Florida? But several people sent me this story about a Polk County couple. This is not just a man, this is a man and a woman, so it could be a Florida couple. Burglars called 911 for help moving stolen items, deputies say. Now, it's not quite that clear cut, but it's close. From WFLA, Athena Morris wrote the story. Authorities say two people in Polk County broke into a home, stole some items, but couldn't move them all, at which point one of them called 911 for help. And, there's a problem in our society. People call 911 for all kinds of stuff. And I've heard of interviews with 911 operators who will say things like, on the night of the Super Bowl, as soon as the game ends, people will call us and go, woo, we won, woo, and hang up. Because they just want to call somebody. And so they just, 911, it's an easy number to call. Someone will answer. 911, what's your emergency? Woo, the Pistons won, woo. So the Polk County Sheriff's Office said someone called 911 from a home in a town I can't pronounce. Weird, but didn't speak to the dispatcher. Poinciana. Poinciana? I can't be right. Because if it was, I would have gotten that right in the first try. Deputies went to check on the home after getting this strange phone call and found two people there. According to deputies, the man and the woman did not live there, but had entered the residence through an unlocked door. So, pro tip, lock your doors. Especially if you live in Florida, lock your doors. So they apparently walked up, saw an unlocked door, actually found an unlocked door, and walked through same. Deputies say the man was already on their radar because he was reportedly seen on surveillance video earlier that day stealing something from a Dollar General. And they used the word burglarizing. They say he was burglarizing a Dollar General. Now, that could mean that he was trying to break into the building or actually managed to break into the building and steal something there. But you have to understand that in some states, walking into a building with the intent to steal something there can be construed as burglary. This depends on how the statute's drafted in your state. So it could simply be that he went into a Dollar General, stole some stuff, and left. And so that could be considered shoplifting or, like I said, in some states, burglary. The pair was taken into custody and questioned, and then the woman admitted that she had called 911. So they're questioning the people. Because remember, it says here they called from a home, and I'm wondering if they called using the home's landline. Because they called using a cell phone, they wouldn't necessarily be able to track the call to that house necessarily that quickly. But she called 911 for the purpose of having law enforcement assist them moving their belongings from the house. And that is the one they're burglarizing, according to the sheriff's office. They were trying to also get a ride to the airport because they wanted to go to New York for the weekend. Question is, did they have tickets or were they planning on buying them at the airport? Also, if they wanted to move the belongings from the house, where would they move them to? So it sounds like they needed a ride to where they're going to stash the stuff, then to the airport. So that's actually like a 2-stop trip. I guess he called 911 and booked that, right? According to the sheriff's office, the man was arrested and charged with burglary and theft in connection with the dollar store situation and also burglary of a residence, while the woman was arrested and charged with burglary of a residence. So there's no indication that she was involved in the Dollar General heist, but she does appear to have been involved in this because she's the one who called 911. And so there's so many things wrong with this story that I suspect substances were involved. But I'm just speculating. Because you can just picture At what point do you think I should call 911 and see if they can send someone over to help us steal some stuff? But again, where are you going to put it? And they wanted also a ride to the airport. And so that does sound like somebody's operating in an impaired capacity. And I've mentioned before, but some people find this interesting. I find it fascinating that a lot of our laws have been codified and put into like the blue books behind me. Michigan Compiled Laws, MCL. That's the collection of statutes, state of Michigan, Michigan Compiled Laws. And so if you want to look up what burglary is in Michigan, it'll be in our criminal code, okay? The criminal code is a big section of the MCLs. And in there, it would define what burglary is. And there'd be a whole bunch of different kinds of burglary. And they've broken it down. So for instance, if you break into a building that is non-residential, that's a different kind of burglary than if you break into a home that's residential. And if you break into a home that's residential that people are in, that might be a different kind of burglary than an unoccupied residence. And those distinctions all make sense if you think about it, because as a society, a person who breaks into a vacant building, I don't think, is doing as much harm as someone who breaks into a home where people are living and sleeping. So I know some people hate it when I make differentials like this in grades of crime, but it's true. It's true. If I gave you the choice, would you rather have someone break into your garage during the day or into your home at night while you're sleeping? And most people would say, oh, I'd rather them break into the garage because it's less likely that someone's going to get hurt. And so given the choice, most people say, yeah, it makes more sense. And so a person who breaks into a house where people are sleeping is going to get punished more than a person who breaks into an empty building or a garage or something like that. You can say, Steve, what if the garage is attached to the house? These are all things they argue about at sentencing. But the point is that there's all these different grades, all right? And they're all in the blue books defined for a reason. But if you go back to the mists of time, common law, go back even before the U.S. was a country. Okay, I'm talking about go back hundreds and hundreds of years. Go back to England and the common law, where a lot of our laws came from. They would say that burglary oftentimes meant that someone broke into a residence at night with the intention of stealing something therein. So it had to be a residence, had to be at night, and they had to be breaking in to steal something or commit a crime there, okay? So if someone broke into the house because they wanted to find a place to sleep for the night, in fact, there's a story in the news about the snowstorm in Buffalo where a guy and a bunch of other people broke into a school because they wanted to get out of the elements because they thought they might die. And most people would say, well, they broke into the school, but they had a good reason. Therefore, that wouldn't be considered burglary by most people. But getting back to my examples, in the olden days, you're breaking into a dwelling at night with the intention of committing a crime. And that was considered to be a very, very serious thing because you don't want people busting into your house while you're sleeping, waking you up and making you think, oh my gosh, my life is in danger. And so you want to discourage that, so burglary was a very serious thing. And over the years, that law has morphed to the point where people say, why does it have to be at night? By the way, what is night? Dusk? That means that you can break into a home earlier in the wintertime than you can in the summertime, or vice versa? What? Really? By the way, what if it's an unoccupied home? Versus what if I break into a building where people are there, but it's not a residence? And so those distinctions started coming into play. But the original concept was simply you're breaking into a residence at night to commit a crime there, most likely theft. And so that was the old common law burglary, which has evolved over the years to become what we have now codified in the, like I said, the criminal code. And there you'd find all these different distinctions for different kinds of things. So here, where somebody walks through an open door or unlocked door into somebody else's house, they've entered the dwelling, and if it was at night, that'd be the case, and they were trying to steal stuff, so that would have been common law burglary, even though there might not have been anybody home. It's still a residence. We want to discourage people from breaking into residences whether or not people are home, okay? So getting back to Dollar General, though, that's not a residence, may not have been at night, so why is it burglary? And so over the years, there were places that said, well, burglary is simply entering a building with the intent to commit a crime there. If they can somehow cobble together a case that you entered the building with the intent of committing, theft, and then you stole something and left, or didn't steal something but you left, but they could prove that somehow you were doing this in an attempt to steal, they can call that burglary in some states. And so it's going to vary wildly from state to state whether that's burglary or not. But since the police are calling it burglary, I suspect that they think they can prove that the guy entered the building with the intent to steal stuff therein. So there's that situation. But again, it boils down to Polk County burglars called 911 for help moving stolen items, according to deputies. And they say that people also wanted a ride to the airport. If you can toss that in. Can you do that? No? Should have called Uber. Athena Morris wrote that for WFLA. Daryl, Trocon, Larry, and Hamza all sent it. Thanks a lot, guys. Questions or comments, put them below. Let's talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching Lehto's Law. A committee is a group that keeps minutes and loses hours.